Hi and welcome to How to Use CAD. For today's tutorial we're going to look at hit and miss foundations. Unlike standard trench foundations, which are normally excavated and concrete poured in one go, hit and miss foundations is a technique used when excavating near an existing structure where it would be deemed unsafe to excavate and pour in one go. By the end of the lesson, you should have all the information you need to apply the technique where necessary to your plans and drawings. It should be a reasonably short lesson because I've done most of the work already. What we've got in front of us here is a standard detail section for trench foundations. But it doesn't tell the full story. In this case, we're going to imagine that we're building an extension next to a property where we need, or we're instructed to do hit and miss foundations. Many extensions, for example, are built right up to neighbours' properties, and in many cases, if assuming there's a party wall agreement, the party wall agreement will specify hit and miss foundations to maybe one side or the other. The front or the facing elevation to the garden is usually not a problem, but it's the sides here which may be up to an existing structure on here. So as you can see from this diagram, what I've done here is the dotted lines represent the walls, and these larger areas is effectively the foundations, which are 600 wide and on average 1000 deep. So what we're doing now is we're going to redraw this, and by redrawing it means you'll get a much better idea of how it should look. So it's just good experience to do it. So we start off by doing standard line, tab 3, and we're going to use the parallel tool, tab, to make a 300 wall, and likewise we're now going to make a 300 wall to the front, about so, tab 300, not very good, tab 3, 1, 2, 3, 3000, tab 3. So this isn't quite right, but we'll fix that. Right, so tab 3. We'll get it approximately right in a minute. The idea is just do the outline for an extension walls, tab -3. And so if I use my meet two lines tool, right, so what I'm going to do here is just draw a line. This can be the house wall, and if I use my multi-line tool, right, so this is the main house here, and this is effectively the extension. So we're doing a small extension to a house, and the walls are 300 wide because that's generally block wall, for example. So now if there's a property here, let's assume there's another property here, a neighbour's property. Let's just draw a line there for a minute. Then when the builders, not we, because I won't be doing it, but when the builders go to excavate here, there's a problem because when they dig out the foundations, there's going to be a potential risk to this wall, because they're sitting on foundations, but there's a potential risk. So and generally in that case, if I, for example, was doing the party wall agreement, if I was dealing with it, then I would specify that the builders here will need to do hit and miss foundations for that wall. So it's this area here. So what we do, for example, it might only be for that wall. So let's get rid of that. So now foundations generally 600. So if we get, let's mark out 600. I can do this several different ways as usual. Tab -150. Tab 150. So that's the outline for the extension. So to make it simple, I'm going to do what I did in my own drawing that I did earlier, which is to make the extension lines in a light grey and dotted, so we have a clear idea. And here, well, let's do the foundation lines. Tab 150, tab -150, tab -150. I can do it this way, tab 600. Right, let's get the foundation lines. Let's notice that these didn't go. So put them into grey, put them into dotted. So that the dark lines are effectively the foundation lines. Right, so let's right click, use to meet two lines, and might be just a little bit quicker. Okay, so now if you bear with me, these are the foundations. We excavate here and we pour concrete, but remember there's a house on this side, so there's a wall, so this is going to be done in hit and miss. So basically on a wall like that, let's assume that's 3 meters, then what we would do is well, let me show you. Tab 600, tab 1, 2, 3. So this is what we would do. We'd carve this up. Well, in fact, let's do it slightly different. Let's do it accurately. So what have we got? 2141, 2141 divided by 3, so 713. So now tab 713, tab 600. So now we're going to knock this out and we're going to give it, take off the line. Right, so what we're going to do here now, so we're going to excavate that section. I have to put the line on that. Right, we're going to excavate that section and we're going to excavate this section. And then there's a bit left here. So there are various ways we can do this, but at the end, I mean, here now I used different colors and I wrote in different days, so I just borrowed that text now for a minute. So what I can do here is I can go day 1. And if the builders then, what they'll do is dig out this section and pour the concrete in 1 day. And then 3 days later, they can do this one. Yeah, so that didn't work, did it? What didn't I do? It's meant to be day 3. So day 1, day 3. I think we can do this in one hit. So as I said, on the one I did earlier, I used a bit of color differential. That's always useful. If you're doing the drawing, just do something to emphasize, so it's not just the text. Now all of this here, there's no buildings here, so this nor here, so this can be all done in one go. So unlike my first drawing where I did all the way around, that's just to emphasize. But the reality is, if you're doing a drawing and we have a building here, then the reality is you only need to do it on the side where it affects the wall. So all of this can be done in, let's assume, day 2, yeah? So what's happening here? Color this in. Green perhaps isn't the best color. And this, because I've already got a pink, probably not the best color. Okay, that's better. Now again, what we agreed was this would be done in day 3, correct? Let me just take off the line on here. I think it will look better. There you go. So day 1. No, not going to do that. Do day 2, or do this one. So we'll mix it up. Day 2. The idea is to give time for things to harden in between. So if that was day 1, just do that corner, because the corner is the most important section on all of the trench, simply because it's the corner of the building here, for example. So if there's a building there, it's the corner of. Let me put something to emphasize a building there. So if I just put, let's see, what can we do to gone all silent for a few minutes. It's not like me. I usually get accused of talking too much rather than going silent. Right, so again, take the line off. I think it might work better for us. And okay, so existing building. There's a line there I want to get rid of. Can we drop the scale on that? Let's see if it's scalable. Go 5. So there's no hard and fast rule. It's just a question of emphasis. So here we are, existing building. So if I write that in, E-X-I-S-T-I-N-G. What did I do? To go fast is to go slow. Is that how it works? Right, so that's your foundations. Day 1, day 2, day 1, day 2, and then on day 3, this can be blue, isn't it? Yes. This can be, which blue did we use? Let me just check. Sky blue, which is over there. And then day 2, we need a different color. There you go, you got three colors. Day 1, day 2, day 3. Day 1 day. So we separate them. You don't want to do, if you do this on day 1, you don't want to be doing this on day 2 or this one on day 2. So you give it a day in between. To harden up. In some cases, if it was deeper foundations, this is regular, but if it was deeper, you might have to leave 2 or 3 days and before you can do the section that abuts or joins the next section. So there you go. Day 1, day 2, day 1, day 2, day 3, and this doesn't have anything. So nothing touching, so this can be done normal trench foundations. So existing building. Right, so that's about it really. You've got the technique. You can see the outline of your extension walls. You can see the outline for your foundations. So here you would excavate. So on day 1 you'd excavate only that little section and pour the concrete. On day 2 you do this section and pour the concrete. And then on day 3 you can do that section plus all of that. And that's how you would do hit and miss foundations. So let's try and wrap this up. So I'm going to hit, what I'm going to do here now is make a copy. I did make a copy, did I not? Control C, Control V, and we're going to use some of the elements here. So if I take that out, so now the likes of this, that's going to fit in here, is it? Nope. We have to keep aspect ratio. Need it a bit smaller. And Right, so editorial, a little bit of editorial here at the top. Hit and miss trench foundations. What I nearly always do when I'm doing these, I need to find the center line. So to find my center line, so that I place the elements correctly. As close as. Okay, and I want to get a little bit of information into the center because that's the building regulations with regard to trench foundations, so that needs to be popped in. Hit and miss trench foundations, the U values are correct, details here, a little bit more. So in theory I could bring it all down a bit more. Let's just do that, let's bring it all down. And then bring this lot back up again. And that's it. So that's a detailed section for hit and miss foundations. Hit and miss foundations, all the elements are there. I don't need to write anything in. It's a very simple section, but yeah, so hopefully you've picked up on the essentials on this item. So it's one of those things that if you're putting in a drawing on building regs and you're putting in trench foundations, then it's if as I say, if you're building parallel to another building, then it's always well, it's essential that you do hit and miss. But what I'm saying is this is another little detailed section that you can put into your drawing to emphasize the hit and miss foundations, and it's really good practice for a young designer or architect to make sure that they put these little sections in. And you decide, you do a section like that or a section like this, but you decide, and you have to kind of, you'll update it if it's on this side. You'll basically reverse, you'll reverse or mirror image the section, and then just rearrange the text in editorial. But a very useful detailed section to add to your library. Right, now as I've mentioned before, we have a website called detailedsections.co.uk, and we're gradually adding the detailed sections that we have to that website. Now we have over 1,000, so it's going to take a while, and we've only started over the last few weeks. So I'm going to give you a little sneak preview. That's actually our website, Detailed Sections. So on that, in time you'll be able to buy detailed sections for almost anything within reason for the actual UK building industry. There'll be detailed sections there for almost anything. So whether you're putting in windows or doing a loft conversion, a garage conversion, or an extension, then you'll be able to get the detailed sections there, and they'll all be available in CAD, which means all you have to do is download. They'll be downloaded instantly. And then you can improvise and add them to your drawings. So it'll certainly give life to your drawings by adding in detailed sections. Okay, hopefully today's tutorial is a bit shorter than normal, which is great, and hopefully you got some important information from it, and that it's been of value. Thank you very much for joining us. I'll see you on the next video, and again I may remind you, subscribe if you want to get notifications on new posts. If you got a comment or two, that's fine, just leave a message below. Yeah, thanks very much for watching. See you again in the next video.